Well, hey there. Is that Julia and
Hi.
Kelly? Hey, it's good to see you guys.
Hi, good evening.
Hey, great to be here. This is a Face the Music collective show for Julia and Kelly's race in Michigan, and we're so pleased to be doing this show for you guys.
I'm happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this.
It's an absolute pleasure. This is our 30th show for state legislative races in competitive districts in battleground states around the country. And yeah, we've had such a ball doing these shows, and we always have great artists. And today, is no exception. Today, our artists at the Scrappers, local Detroit rockers. So they have some great music that they prepared especially for the show. So I'm really excited about that. So here we are. Crazy time.
It is crazy.
It's been a very tense couple days for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's I'm personally grateful to our law enforcement officials and our Justice Department and Attorney General Dana Nessel for their quick work and swift action. We can all have our disagreements about how certain things are handled, but violence and chaos have absolutely no place in government. None.
Yeah. I think we all agree.
And to me, it is distressing that Julie and I have friends in the legislature. These are people that we know, that we love. They have their own children. They have their own families. And when the Capitol was stormed by this group a few months ago, it was a warning. It was a warning. And these people that were working, our friends, our legislators, working peacefully on the Capitol floor right there, and they had people standing over them with guns. That was a warning. And now some of those people that were there with guns are behind bars because they were literally threatening, and they had planned to carry out a coup, a terrorist attack here in Michigan. And it's unacceptable. And so I know today, and I'll tell you this is how determined some folks are. Today I had boots on the ground. I had 5 current sitting state legislators. Despite everything that they just went through, they were out in my district today. I think they're coming for Julia. They were maybe with Julia earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. They were out there hitting the pavement, knocking doors on our behalf because mercifully, they understand that Julie and I are doing all we can, especially with kids. Knocking doors on our behalf to try to change things here in Michigan for the better, because we all want the same things. Nobody wants to see a bloodbath at the Capitol. Nobody wants to see our governor put in harm's way. So we just need to put this partisanship behind and work together. But we're not going to be able to move forward unless we can get a cohesive group of people that can work together for change for the better. And right now here in Michigan, it starts here in the 38th and the 39th with Julia and I.
Absolutely. And really this is very anti-democratic, small d democratic. This is un-American. The entire reason that our country exists was based on the idea of peaceful transition of powers. We didn't want to have a military coup every time somebody disagreed with whoever was in power. Our entire system of government in our country has been based on the peaceful transition of power, of elections. If you have a grievance with your government, you have nonviolent means to address that. You can vote. You can put together ballot proposals. We have, in the state of Michigan, changed our constitution on a myriad of issues because of voter referendums. So the idea that this was righteous or justified because, there's this desire to co-opt terrorism and domestic terrorism as some sort of extension of our patriotism, which really is antithetical to everything that we based our
criminal.
On.
It's criminal.
Criminal, and I'm very The same people who were, essentially, threatening a violent coup in our state. We're also mingling with and rubbing elbows with, our opponents and the Republicans in the legislature, and, having a nice little private chat with Mike Shirkey up in the balcony while they're all, strapped to, armed to the teeth. And I'm tired of this sort of wink and a nod where when pressed, they'll say, oh, of course, we don't agree with this. But then there's always that wink and a nod, and then they're there taking pictures with them and speaking at their rallies, and their actions are speaking a whole lot louder than their words. And we're tired of it. I know Kelly has had some very scary, threatening interactions in the past. I have as well, and even more recently. And this is not what we're supposed to like in our country. This is not supposed to be using the threat of force and making decisions at gunpoint. The thing that really gets me about our rules in the Michigan legislature regarding open carry or even concealed carry in the state house is that's a workplace, and Kelly's absolutely right. That day we were both, on the phone and texting our friends, our people, the people that we've known for years, whose, babies we've held and whose weddings we've gone to, making sure they were okay while they were at work. And no one should have to work at gunpoint. That is a horrific situation. And so we really just need to be able to flip these seats, flip the House, and get a majority in the state legislature that's going to actually do something about it and not just pay lip service to the idea that, oh, no, this should never happen, but then do absolutely change it. So,
well,
it's scary. You're absolutely right.
The notion that this country was founded for the peaceful transition of power also had to do with fair representation. And fair representation means that democratic principles must be maintained. And, and what we have been doing collectively, it's the people like yourselves who are crazy enough to run for office. And it is an immense
we are
commitment
nuts. Let's be clear. Yes,
nuts.
We are.
And
we're driven.
The people who support you and help you in your campaigns, they're also nuts because, I don't think I've communicated to the two of you, but my wife is one of those people. She left our home in California and she's living in Arizona since November trying to help a campaign. So, there is a large group of us who are trying to make a difference. I think maybe the right thing that how about this? How about if I play a little music, we kind of take a step back, and this is just a very stressful time for everybody. And, I'm not saying we ignore it, but I think it's good for us to take a break and also kind of build community, and build the community that we need to sustain us for the long haul. Because that's really what we're in the process of doing. And that's what you're doing. And that's why I'm so heartened by crazy people like yourselves, who are, the amount of work that goes into a campaign is just insane. So
it's tough, but Julie and I are ready. We're ready. We want the work. And I personally am very excited to hear your music.
Well, hopefully my internet will be stable enough, and we'll see if it works. Every single one of these is an experience in live internet performance. So we'll see how it goes. Well, anyway, so I'll bring you guys back in 15 minutes or so, and then we'll have a conversation.
Awesome.
All
right, let's do it.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, so I didn't mention my name at the beginning of this thing, but you can see it down at the front there. And Pete Kronowitt, this is from my my first album. And since we're approaching Halloween and things are crazy, I thought I would do something representative of where we are. Here we go. Glimpse of a shadow just caught my eye. I swear I saw you just passing by. Book on a shelf, shattered dream. Says the worst thing I've ever seen at this doorstay in Maryland, Monroe. Combine her one person, I'll never know. I got skeletons in my closet, ghosts in my attic. I got a haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart. I got a haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart. I got a haunted heart. I swear I saw through you today. I don't know how. I'm afraid of what I might say. That's the way it is now. Think of you more as time goes by. I probably will till the day I die. I got skeletons in my closet, ghosts in my attic. I got a haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart. I got a haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart. I got a haunted heart. Gonna find me a fallen angel, chase my demons away. I'm gonna find me a fallen angel. Oh, I need her today, yeah. Glimpse of a shadow just caught my eye. Swear I saw you just passing by. Book on a shelf, shattered dreams. Says the worst thing I've ever seen. How does doorstay in Maryland, Monroe combine to one person? I'll never know. I got skeletons in my closet, ghosts in my attic. I got a haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart. I got a haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart, haunted heart. I got a haunted heart. All right. All right. Well, you know, it has been a stressful time. And I think since it's Friday, I'd like to propose happy hour for everybody. And just a wee little relaxer. This is to that mystical magic elixir. Ooh, that's going to help my vocals quite a bit. I'm sitting in a dark room with no lights on. I'm going to follow in the footsteps of Polygon. I'm going to paint lots of women with no tops on. Somebody told me, it's Jean-Paul Sartre, said freedom is drinking. Hey, that's a start, but let me tell you, he's no Rene Descartes. But if you can't control what you do, you got some thinking to do. I think I'll have a drink. I think therefore I drink. Whoa. If you drink too much, and you're losing touch. It's time you settle down, maybe one more round. Richard Morrison said the poems and songs live long past the dead. Then he said the time's near, you go next door for a beer. The world spins out of control, and this guy named Trump, he does quid pro quo. Well, I'm gonna get wild before the night gets old. But if you can't control what you do, you got some thinking to do. I think I'll have a drink. I think therefore I drink. Whoa. But if you can't control what you do, you got some thinking to do. I think I'll have a drink. I think therefore I drink. Whoa. Here's you. All right. Well, hopefully my internet is working. Thumbs up, maybe? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't going to play this song. Working. Excellent. But something that I think it was Kelly, something that Kelly said. Something that Kelly said, I think I'm going to play this song. So I mentioned that my wife is, she's been in Arizona, far away from home, since November, which also means she's gone during the pandemic. And, you know, almost every state in the country has had problems from the pandemic. And as that the pandemic started to affect people's lives in multiple ways, you know, I just realized I was ending every conversation and every email the same way. And I got together with a friend of mine, Viola Krause, and we wrote this song, and the song became something a little bigger than what it started out to be. When the world is a little bit colder, you can be a blanket for me. When this world is a little bit darker, you're the light I can see. If your arms cannot hold me, it's your love I still feel, and your heart is the only beating thing that is real. Stay safe, stay safe, until you're home here with me. Stay safe, stay safe. Home is where you should be. I remember what it was like before everything changed. In such a short time, we hardly talk now. We should be able to agree. Have we forgotten what's important? We argue endlessly, but we're still human, and it's not right. We all want the same thing. Stay safe, stay safe, until you're home here with me. Stay safe, stay safe. Home is where you should be. Home is where you should be. Until you're home here with me. So this next song was written during the outset of the Gulf War. And yeah, Gulf War, that was the first time the U.S. invaded Iraq. And, you know, when I think back to that, the Gulf War, if you kind of put these pieces together, the Gulf War, for those of you old enough to remember, maybe you'll remember, but those of you who are not, one of the things that was said in the lead up to the Gulf War was, you know, we were going to liberate the Kuwaitis, which was true. We were going to liberate the Kuwaitis. So there was absolute a truth to that. But Kuwait had oil. And that's the reason why we went to war. We went to make sure that our oil supply was, and not that that's not a important thing. I mean, you know, our oil supply is vital to our country's interest. But the point is that the government didn't tell us the truth. And specifically, it was the George H.W. Bush administration. Now, they had the wherewithal not to, to topple Saddam Hussein, but they did enough damage that there's a direct link between the Gulf War to 9/11, and then from 9/11, of course, to reinvading Iraq for the wrong reasons again, where our government didn't probably tell us the truth. Telling the truth seems like it's an important thing. Anyway, so the song was written during that moment, and I don't think, but the song was not just about the war. It really covered a lot of topics, and I don't think I internalized all these topics, really internalized them until I looked back through the lens of the 2016 presidential election. There was a moment during the Democratic National Convention, and there was a couple on stage, Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the Gold Star parents. If you remember, if you were watching the Democratic National Convention, they were speaking during prime time about their son, Homayed, who he'd been killed stopping a car bomb. And there was an unscripted moment during that speech where Mr. Khan reaches into his jacket and he pulls out a pocket constitution and he waves it in the air. And he asked Donald Trump a question. He says, "Donald Trump, do you even know what's in the Constitution?" And of course, we unfortunately know the answer to that question now. And then he says, "I will gladly give you mine." We fled Pakistan to find a free land. And I fight for what I believe. My son asked me when I'd be home again. I told him I'd be home soon. And I said, sometimes you follow the leader. You might not like where you go. There's a price for freedom. It's what the leaders say they know. At school, my boy did fight for what he thought was right. The other kids, they called me a spy. We talked on the phone. I said he'd never be alone. He told me about his black eye. And I said, Sometimes kids follow the leader, though they may not be right. But there's a price for freedom. To be a man, you must fight. At war, I saw a boy use a gun just like a toy, till the shot caught me in the gut. I was lying on the ground, I couldn't make a sound. I looked up and saw my boy crying. Sometimes you follow the leader, you might not like where you go. Are you fighting for freedom? It's what the leaders say they know. Okay, I got one more song, but before I play this one song, I do have something to say about these crazy people who run for office. You know, as we mentioned, running for office is not easy. A little easier with a drink, maybe, but it's not easy. And you know what candidates will talk about? They'll talk about the things that we started this show off with. You know, with things happening in the world. You know, maybe their inspiration for running. A little bit about themselves and the issues that they're running on, how they're going to make a difference. But what they don't often talk about is, you know, running for office is like it takes time away from your family and friends. It's 24/7. I mean, you know, it is a commitment. It's just, these are regular people, you know, like our hero complexes are just so crazy. These folks are not heroes. They're just part of our community, and they're stepping up to do something that's good and for the right reasons, especially when you really understand what's on the line. And so in these state legislative races that sometimes get ignored, like, you know, people go to the polls and they do not vote all the way down the ticket, especially in a presidential year like this. So it's really important to make sure that, you know, that Kelly and Julia's names are well known, that people know how important it is for, you know, us to have fair elections like we talked about. And in order to do that, that means to stop the gerrymandering that's going on in this country. So here, I would just say this. If you're one of the lucky folks who maybe you still have a job or have economic resources, just contributing a little bit right now is the critical time for a campaign. Please just donate what you can. Any amount really helps the campaign right now. You know, these state races they have smaller budgets, and your dollar really has an impact. And I've really been paying attention in the last couple of years, so I know. But if you happen to have time more than you have economic resources, then I would then urge you to volunteer, making a few phone calls for either Kelly or Julia or both. I'd say do both. You know, you don't have to be in the district. You can make phone calls from anywhere. And, you know, it's just it's a simple math equation of making sure that, you know, they win by 50% plus one vote. And it's really just you know, getting people out to vote is really, it's just work. It's just real work. So I have my own sort of way of kind of reinforcing that message. And if you donate, if you volunteer, and Julia and Kelly and their campaigns tell me about it, that's my new album. I will send you some songs for my new album. And this is a song from my new album. I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. It's time to tear down fear. Do something now. The moment has arrived. We can tell we're alive and do more than survive. do something now. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Don't just bitch and moan. Time to get on the phone. To be sure, just knock on doors. It's forward, ho. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Polar bears can't swim forever. Guns killed 7 kids today. 10 more lies, yeah. Yeah, I actually think he really is a Russian spy. Women's rights are being stripped away. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. 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 I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. All right. Well, let's bring Julia and Kelly back up. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hey,
Where's Julia?
there's Julia.
Here, and that was wonderful.
Thank you, thank you.
That was great. I gotta say, I was a fan also of the don't bitch and moan line. You got to do something if you want change. You've got to do something about it. And Julie and I, we're doing our part as best we can. And I know we worked together in 2018. We're really fortunate to have so many people, so many amazing people that are helping us out. Not just even in our districts, but yes, across the state. Governor Whitmer came
Across the country, yeah.
She's right, across the country, because we're a swing state. Michigan's a swing state, and the circus has come to town. But in the top 2 most targeted seats are here, the 38th and the 39th, and the third most is on the other side of Oakland County with Barb and us. And yes, I am wearing my Shark Week shirt. I make no apologies for it. I support our governor.
Oh, I wish I had a Shark Week shirt.
Well, it's funny you should ask, because this lovely Democrat in Farmington has a little shop in her basement, and she makes it there. So you can support the local economy and a fellow Democrat by ordering it that way. I will send you the link.
Me too.
That'll be my project when we're done here. I'll get myself a Shark Week shirt.
Do it, man. So yeah, we are lucky.
You guys kind of chat, and because maybe I'll be like a third wheel if I hang out. So
I like your songs, Pete. You're great.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It was great. I admire musicians. Some things come really easily to some people. Some people have to work really hard at it. I took piano lessons for years. I was not good. I was not good. That's okay. I tried.
Everybody has it in them. You know, you just like play and play and play, and finally someone says, "Oh, you're not bad." Who's that? Who do we have there?
This is Alice. Alice turned 8 on the 1st.
Hi, Alice. Happy birthday, belated.
Say hi.
Hi.
Happy birthday, Alice. I haven't seen you in a while. I miss you. Hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of each other more starting January. Yeah. Julie and I, maybe we could carpool to Lansing.
We can carpool, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for coming to visit.
Okay.
I say usually Kelly's kids get to photobomb our calls.
I have made one TikTok video, one, and it was of Abby Zoom bombing our city council meeting, not once, but twice. And you can see it because you see me looking over and I'm doing the stern librarian look. And she comes over and then you see me just pushing her out of the screen. And then she comes back like, and
that video from the dad on the BBC interview with the kid coming in, just walking
Yep.
and the mom coming in. Like that was the foreshadowing for 2020 that none of us saw coming. I feel like maybe we should have heeded that warning a little bit more.
Well, what was funny, I don't know if you saw the one that the woman did after that, because it was the dad one, and then
Yeah.
the mom, where she was like pulling out a roast turkey from some oven
Yep.
underneath her desk. Yes,
Like
but
changing a diaper and like that's what our life has become essentially. Kelly and I have been working from home and running for office and doing our day job. Trying to teach our kids, or at least keep them happy, and our houses from being burned down. Kids,
my house could be on fire right now. I wouldn't know, but
yeah. I know my kids have gotten a little bit more bold with cooking since, mom's distracted a lot, and my older three are all in middle school, so we know some basic safety, but they're still going through those growing pains of learning, like, maybe don't grill the grilled cheese on the highest setting, like medium's a good spot,
that's a tough lesson to learn.
So there have been plenty of calls where all of a sudden there's a smoke alarm going off in my house. And I have to say, excuse me a second, I got to go put out a literal fire here. So.
Yep. Make sure your smoke detectors work. Check them at least twice a year. As our friends in the fire department remind us. And
mine seem to get checked weekly. So
well, at least they're in good working condition. Yes. I won't lie. We have that same issue here. We really do. It's but we know where they work, and at least I know that we're lucky to have so many people throwing their weight behind us. I mentioned before, you've had the boots on the ground. We both had Governor Whitmer out, and we've been fortunate to have in a swing state be highlighted with all these other amazing candidates. And I really just want to get the work done. Julie, what's like the one, like if you did like pick one thing, and I know it's so hard, but like what's the one thing you want to start with in Lansing?
Oh goodness. We have to make a plan for how we are going to quickly distribute testing and eventually a vaccine for COVID. We need to shore up our stockpile, our state stockpiles of PPE. We had relied too heavily on the idea that our chain of command for our supplies would always work. We'd have a competent, functioning federal system that would respond appropriately. We've seen that that's not the case. So I would like to start creating more state-based or even county, local-based stockpiles of PPE and equipment. And then, we need a plan so we can go, and we need to ramp up testing. We really need help from the federal. We need to work with our federal counterparts to get widely available rapid testing that everyone has access to. That's how we get through this until we reach a level of immunity like we've done with all super contagious, epidemics we've dealt with, polio and, everything else that we've ever had to deal with as a country. That's how we live with it. We have to test, trace, and isolate. But it starts with the testing part. Right now, our testing is still not where it needs to be, and that's a hard thing to do on a state level. We don't have the resources to do that. So as important as it is to get our state legislature, flipping the House to support the governor to do all the things we need to do, we really need a federal government who knows what it's doing and who will use the Defense Production Act like they're supposed to start mass producing reliable tests. We should be able to test ourselves just like apparently, the president and his circle does, test ourselves every day to know if we need to stay home in quarantine or not. And then we can trace where the outbreaks are. Knowing though, too, that testing is not a cure. I think there's this, false sense of security that as long as I'm testing all the time, I don't also need to wear a mask. I don't also need to still distance. And I think that reality we've seen hit home in and around the White House this past week, that it doesn't matter how much you test if you don't follow the other guidelines, like isolating when you test positive and letting other people know to test and then isolate if they're positive. It was useless. There was no reason to do it. So we have to get our testing to the place where, you can go to your pharmacy and get your week's supply for you and your family, and you can test every day before you leave the house. Again, knowing about an incubation period, that there's still time that you could have been exposed, but then we can actually trace and we can do those targeted isolations instead of the blanket isolations. The reason we shut down everything is because we screwed up the testing. There's no testing. I say we, I mean as a country.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And you being a nurse, you understand these things. And and it's
tearing my hair out, like, and throwing my phone like at the TV every time I hear pundits and people who falsely equivocate, all of the things, and I'm like, no, that's not how any of this works.
And and to that end, I know a lot of people are focused also on the economy, but we can't fully reopen everything until we can make sure that we can all stay safe. And I actually had an interesting conversation with somebody as I was doing my calls. I talked to a gentleman who has a small business in New Hudson, and his business is booming. And it's because he makes plastic chairs. All these companies that previously had cloth chairs are now calling him because they want to make sure that they have equipment and office supplies that is easily decontaminated. And it's going to take, so it's not just going to be about money. It's going to be about ingenuity and innovation and pursuing things like that in this growing economy. Healthcare, we are poised to excel. We had those Beaumont doctors that came up with the new rapid testing. I know that some people right now, they're waiting days for test results. Some people, we were able, when I had to take my daughter in, unfortunately, she got her results within a few minutes. Why isn't that more widely available?
There's a lot of different kinds of tests, and it really is very frustrating at the access to testing, the reliability of the results, the speed of the results. I know my husband is an essential worker. He works in a grocery store. He works as a sous chef in their prepared foods area. So he has been at work with the public the entire time. And, luckily he's not symptomatic, but at the point where several months ago, testing was opened up to all essential workers and frontline workers, regardless of symptoms. He went and got tested, and we all went and got tested because we all live in the same house with him. It took us a week to get our results back. And in the meantime, we've gone to work. He's gone to work. We've stayed safe. But at that point, it was really, and luckily it came back negative. But if it had been positive, it's pretty useless.
My brother just texted me because he's listening in right now, and he just said he's also an essential worker in a different way. His job actually is to make sure that there is alcohol in the grocery stores. That's his job. But he said he had to wait for a week for his results. And here's the thing: my brother, and Julie, you know this, his son was born last year. My nephew, little Carter, he was born at 27 weeks. And so my brother had to live apart from his wife and newborn son for months because of the testing and the fact that we couldn't get accurate, reliable, fast results in order to live with his child. I mean, we got to do better. We put a man on the moon. Why we can't get faster testing results, more accurate testing results, it's not good enough. We can and we should do better. And you being a nurse, this is your realm. And but it's the job of legislators to listen to the experts, to listen to the people who have this know-how, and to know what is feasible to know what is possible and then make it happen. That's our job. I would rely upon you for anything health related. And there's certain areas I'm sure where you would rely upon my expertise. And so if we need to just set aside this partisan rhetoric and work as hard as we can to make things better for the people we serve, not just for our districts, but for the entire state. So we gotta do better.
Well, and it starts with, it's almost like, 12-step programs, right? The first step is admitting there's a problem. And that's been one of the most frustrating parts of watching this unfold with the leadership struggles we have right now, because luckily we have our governor, but we don't have a majority in the legislature. And so while our governor, of course, immediately acknowledged there was a problem, did step one, and then, moved on and did all the right things, we still have legislators who can't even do that. They don't even admit there's a problem, or if there is a problem, that it's even big enough to adequately address. There's a lot of denial happening. There's a lot of wishful thinking happening. And that's dangerous. And it is also the most fiscally irresponsible thing. We hear about, supposedly Republicans are fiscal conservatives. They're fiscally responsible. They're all about personal responsibility. And I don't see that bearing fruit, right? Because if you really were doing the fiscally responsible thing, you would have gotten your hands around this as quickly as possible. You would have done everything possible to make this impact as small as possible and not drag it out. You would have ripped that Band-Aid off instead of slowly peeling it back so that the pain continues on and on and on. And we're going to have the economic impact of that for a long time. This is not something that we can just wish away or deny away or argue about whether or not it exists, because, it's about as useful as arguing with a hurricane on whether or not it's going to come and hit and how long it's going to take and how bad it's going to be. You can't negotiate with a natural disaster. You can't negotiate with this virus,
And we want it, we can't. And the thing is, it might hit kids, and kids might be able to cope with it, and that's fine. We don't know. It's a novel virus. The impact we don't know for people who have had it, as far as permanent problems to their brain functions, to their lung and their heart functions. We don't know what's going to happen, and so kids might be able to deal with it mostly. And this is a problem that I'm hearing on doors too. They're like, we want the schools opened. We all want the schools open. We all want the schools open. Right? Especially you've got, kids like mine where they have some unique needs that need to be handled. But I don't want to open the schools, have my kids be asymptomatic, and then visit my parents and then give something to them. So, right, and we're fortunate. Novi's fortunate. We were able to go hybrid model. My kids are in school 2 days a week. It's great. At least 2 days a week, they're there. But if we were to expand that, I don't know if they would be able to socially distance. I don't know if they'd be able to maintain the class sizes, and the poor teachers. Oh my God. And to any educator watching this, you've got the toughest jobs right now. The toughest jobs. God bless you for everything you're doing. Because I know, for example, my husband's trying to teach from our front room. He literally has like a bed sheet draped across half of it so that people can't see, the family running around in the back. And it's hard. He doesn't get the planning time isn't enough. They had to adapt to all these different models. And also, God bless my husband. He's been helping my 74-year-old shop teacher father. My father's still teaching at 74. And there's not enough shop teachers, by the way. But to all you educators out there, thank you. And we're sorry if our kids aren't getting their homework done. We're trying to. We are. Let's just get rid of this damn virus so we can get our kids back to school safely.
Get rid of the virus and get you guys into the state legislature.
Yes. We can't flip the House without flipping both of our seats.
That's
It's
right.
gotta happen.
There's no
Speaking
path to
of which-
doing that without flipping our seats.
We should talk about here. I'm going to switch our little pictures around so you guys are up. This is the way it should be, by the way.
Oh, no.
Right? Yeah, just thought, yeah. We should talk about what the upcoming voter deadlines, right? So we are 10 days away from the deadline to register in Michigan, and you have to have your registration postmarked by October 19th, and you can do it in person up until Election Day.
Right. So to register online, not register at all, but just to register online or via mail, the deadline is the 19th. Michigan passed in 2018 a whole slew of voter referendums on increasing access to voting. It was called Prop 3, and it's
Promote the vote.
it's amazing, and we all have a lot of options. And of all the things we were really, really glad to accomplish in 2018, that was one of the biggest, and we didn't even know it at the time. Like, we knew just principle how important voting was, but now it's more important than ever. So you can request your ballot from your local clerk. In Michigan, we voted our local clerk, not at our county clerk. Other places, you do it at the county level. We voted our local clerk's office. So if you're requesting or registering online or by mail, there is a deadline coming up. You can register in person at your clerk up until Election Day.
Up until Election Day, right?
You can have same-day voter registration.
Mail-in ballots or absentee ballots, right? With call this, I think it's the same thing in Michigan, right?
Right. So you can, it's the same form. So essentially, if you are voting early, you can go to your local clerk's office when they're open, during their normal open business hours, and request your absentee ballot in person. Stand there, fill it out, put it back in, sign the back, and make sure you sign the back of the secrecy or of the envelope, and hand it back to them, and you voted early, essentially. You can request it in the mail. Same thing, they'll mail it to you. You fill it out, you return it. Obviously, we're concerned about the mail, the speed of the mail. So a lot of people are requesting it by mail.
Drop it off.
Yes, dropping it off at the office or in.
I wanted to take that. Drop it off. Okay.
Yeah. We're getting too close, which is sad because we're just barely a month, away. But it's getting too close to really rely on that. You can track. I mean, the other thing I would maybe put on here, Kelly, do you have the?
To track your ballot?
Yes.
I can look it up, or
Someone
maybe somebody else can look it up.
Right. So
anybody who's listening can look it up.
The state of Michigan, the Secretary of State's office has a website where you can track your ballot. So for you, it shows when your absentee ballot was requested, when it was mailed out to you, and then when it was received back. So you can track it to make sure that it actually made it there.
Yeah.
And to that end, and I think it's important to note this, I am in local government. I'm on Novi City Council. It's an honor and a privilege to serve in Novi, and we lobby on behalf of legislation that will help local government, including a package of bills that will help local clerks. Local clerks are working their butts off. I don't think our local city clerk is listening now, but she's amazing. She's done so many great things to make sure election workers are trained, but there are bills that have been passed to ensure that ballots will be accurate, that they will be counted, that they will be able to even start opening them, to process them early, not count them, but process them early. Even opening the envelopes without removing the ballot, opening them takes hours. So to all those that voted in favor of the legislation to make it easier for our local clerks to support local government so we can do this, thank you. It's necessary. local government is where so many things happen, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons why I'm running. I want to make sure that our clerks have the resources to make sure elections are run fairly and accurately, because every vote counts. Every single vote counts. We saw this in Michigan in 2016. There are city council races that are decided by 15 votes. It came down to, I believe, and Julia, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 votes per precinct in Michigan in 2016.
On average, yep.
2 votes per precinct in 2016 could have changed the trajectory of our federal offices.
So I have
So it
two
is
things.
that serious.
One is early voting has already started, and yes, it's time to vote. We don't need to wait for anything else. Just go vote, and it's not enough just to vote. Sorry, that is like rote. We all know that. You need to grab your neighbors. You need to grab your, the people who you talk to on the street, and make sure that they are voting. Just bring it up and bring it up casually. Like, hey, I don't need to know who you're voting for, unless you want to tell me you're voting for Julia and Kelly. And then but you need to go vote. I mean, people need to be part of the process this time. This is not an option. And then, of course, the date that everyone is looking forward to is November 3rd, which is Election Day.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to vote on Election Day, some people still really like to go to the polls. It's an event. That's absolutely fine. Be prepared to wait. Be prepared to wait out in the cold, possibly the rain. Bring a poncho, bring an umbrella. It seems like it rains every single election day in Michigan.
It does seem that way.
It gets cold, 40, 50 degrees. So dress for the weather. Don't assume there's going to be space inside. I mean, even in normal times, some people have to wait outside whatever building they're voting in. But now trying to keep people even further apart is also going to be very hard. So be prepared to wait. Dress for the weather. Like Kamala said, bring a brown bag lunch and bring a folding chair, maybe even to sit in, and comfortable shoes. And if you are in line,
to that effect, Julia, know that it's safe. Well, at least I know our local clerks are doing everything to help people that are voting at the polls to keep them safe. They are literally disinfecting the ballot envelopes between each use. There are pens that are available. They have different cups, new pens, dirty pens. They are making it so that the people that do choose to vote on Election Day are able to do so safely. And so if that is a concern, I encourage you to contact your local city clerk to find out what measures are being employed. But from what I have seen, again, props to the local clerks. They are doing an amazing job making sure that people can still vote and carry out their civic duty by casting that vote. So, but yeah, be prepared.
And if there's any shenanigans at your polling place, if there are people trying to intimidate you, we have laws. Everybody who's working for any campaign has to be 100 feet away from the polling location. If you are turned away or somehow told you're not on the rolls, the ACLU has a hotline. We have, and Kelly has served in the past as an attorney helping on Election Day to make sure people are not turned away. Kelly, I don't know if you want to give some more specifics on the people's rights if they are unfairly turned away.
So my job, this was in 2016, it's called voter protection, and the job is simple. You make sure every vote counts. And you're not allowed as an election, as part of voter protection, you don't wear partisan anything. You are actually in the precinct and you are making sure that there's absolutely no intimidation, but also some of the election workers, unfortunately, the precinct I was at were not appropriately trained. I have no doubts whatsoever about the folks here in Novi or really anybody in the 38th, but it is the job to make sure that people are able to cast their vote. If by chance that they were sent to the wrong polling location, or if they were given misinformation, or if their information isn't showing up in the polling database, we've got to make sure that there's provisional ballots available. There are poll challengers, usually from every party there at the precincts, but their job is to just not do voter intimidation just to make sure that the process works. And if you are interested in helping out in that capacity, there are a lot of resources available to get involved, but we do need people helping at the polls. I know that cities are hiring in order to help hiring extra workers, and you do, for some of these, you do get paid. You get paid for some of these jobs through the city, but voter protection is an unpaid job. It is an important job. If it's something that you're interested in doing, then I would encourage you to reach out to your local organizations on either party, actually, because we all want the same things. We all want to make sure that people can vote. And for example, there's a man in our city. He's on our board of canvassers. He's a Republican, and he is by far one of the most staunch advocates for voting rights I've ever met. And he's a good man, and I'm proud to call him a friend. This is an issue that is nonpartisan, making sure that people can vote. It's nonpartisan. So we can all work together in any capacity. Just find there's a place for you if you want to help.
So you said that keywords, and I think you said it before, we all want the same thing. And I think that there is a core part of life that we all want the same things. And that was actually my cue to play that song, Stay Safe. Yeah. So, yeah. I think most of the people who are watching this, they'll probably get it. But, there are people who are not watching this, and that's the value of this. Like, you get the kind of next level of information and you can help other people. So I really, this conversation has been heartening. I mean, to hear the expertise around the pandemic, to the passion that both of you bring to running for this, for the state legislature, the difference that you want to make. I'm moved by that. I'm moved by, it's public service. It really is public service, especially this time around, because we need responsible elected officials more than any time in my lifetime. So I appreciate what you're doing.
And we appreciate you, Pete. I mean, I just want the work.
Yeah.
I just want the work. I just want to get it done.
Well,
Let's make it happen. So
we have one more thing coming up. And just because I know that maybe some people are hanging in, waiting for the music, so there's this band, the Scrappers, that are from Detroit, who've done this special set for you guys. And they're just phenomenal. I mean, I particularly like this. The lead, at least one of the vocalists who plays pedal steel, Dave Lawson, is going to do a short intro. But I'm kind of fond of the pedal steel. If you don't know what that is, you can see it in the video. But it's Eddie Baranak on guitar, and Pete Ballard on. I think I might have been wrong. It's Eddie Baranak on guitar and vocals. It's Pete Ballard on pedal steel, and Dave Larson is on bass, and he also sings. And Ben Luckett on drums. Let's bring up the Scrappers.
Hey everybody, my name is Dave Lawson. I'm in the band The Scrappers. We're from the Metro Detroit area. And like many of you, it seems like we get together and we just complain about politics and how frustrating everything is. So we're really happy to have an opportunity to do our first live Zoom performance and just to get involved a little bit, because we really understand that the local politics matter more than ever. And we hope you guys get involved too and can do whatever you can to help elect Kelly Breen and Julia Pulver for Michigan State Rep. So I hope you enjoyed the performance, and thank you very much.
I don't give up, I just wait a little while. Everything's in style someday. Don't get distraught just because you're in one spot. Everything's in style someday. 'Cause this morning the sun shined on who remains. So much we had done to keep it all the same, when all we can count on is change. to see how far you fall. Everything's in style someday. 'Cause this morning the sun shined on who remains. So much we have done to keep it all the same. When all we can count on is change. I don't give up, I just wait a little while. Everything's in style someday. Big audience.
Just a second.
Well, we're back, and we cut off the song a little early, but I really feel bad about that. But here we are.
That was great.
It was great.
You know,
That was
I
a great
actually
band.
love the Scrappers. I like that. That music is just like that's right in my wheelhouse. That is kind of like exactly what I personally love. So I want to thank them so much for that performance. So hey, I want to thank everyone for participating. I also want to thank a couple of people who are doing work in the background, and the kids who are in the background too. Of course. So I want to thank my friends Linda Allen and Jen Brightman, who work so diligently on helping me put these shows together. They have been my partners in doing this, and I don't think I could do that without them. And of course, there are so many people that help on the campaigns, so many volunteers and campaign managers, field directors, people who do director of fundraising, people who like never get credit. They really deserve so much, accolades for what they've been doing. And
Emily,
Emily.
Emily Collins is on now. There's another Emily who's missing.
My
Emily Rohrbach.
Yep.
Yep.
All the Emilys.
So, and of course, the crazy people who run, Kelly and Julia. Thank you so much
Whatever
for
it
what
takes.
you're doing.
Thank you guys so much. This was so fun. This is a lot of fun. And I'm really grateful for everything you guys have done, not just for us, but for all the other candidates, for what your wife is doing, Pete. I mean, it takes all of us.
It
really
does. It takes all of us. And for whatever we can contribute, whether it's time or money or whatever we can do, it really does take all of us. And, this has been a test for all of us too, right? And it's, I think, a test that we're on the path to pass. We just have to pass it.
We do.
Yeah.
We'll get through it together.
We will get through it. Well, we've had a bunch of people watching through the whole show, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and I want to thank everybody for all the work that they do. So, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks
and
to my friends and family that were watching.
Julia, we'll see you when you're
Thank you.
Don't forget, subtle message here.
Vote. Vote.
All right.
Vote.
Vote.
Amy says vote.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.